Welcome to NYC Jewelry Week 2022. We are the co-founders. I'm JB Jones.
And I'm Bella Neiman.
And we're really excited to welcome you to our 2022 virtual program here on our YouTube page. Please go subscribe. And also head to our website at nycjewelryweek.com to see all the other amazing programs we have this year, both in person and virtually. This upcoming program we're going to introduce to you right now is brought to you by our sponsor, eBay. And Bella's going to tell us what it's all about.
It's called The Joy of Collecting, and it features Tirath Kamdar, the general manager of luxury at eBay, Annabel Davidson, editor, Rebecca Pietri, artist and stylist, and Francesca Villa, the jeweler. If you have any questions for any of the panelists, make sure you put them into the chat and we'll gladly share them. Sit back, enjoy. Thanks.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. And we are here today with eBay talking about the beauty and power of collecting. And with us, we have Tirath Kamdar from eBay. We have Rebecca Pietri and we have Francesca Villa. And the latter two are self-confessed eBay professional rabbit holers as they go down that eBay rabbit hole and find some incredible things with incredible stories. And I think we'll start off. Let's just jump straight into it. Rebecca, tell us what you look for on eBay and some of the favorite things that you find.
I really love militaria. So for me, I collect a lot of dog tags, a lot of remnants of military history, and going down that rabbit hole. One of my favorite pieces is this piece of African American military history. It's from the 54th African American Regiment from Massachusetts. It's very, very, very rare, and you can see, it's a very, very special piece, and it's one of the prize pieces that I have in my house that I always kind of look at, and I'm so glad I scored it.
Can you tell us what it reads on the back? Have you?
It does. It says, "For every drop of blood drawn with the lash, another shall be drawn with the sword." So this is Civil War era.
It's so beautiful.
It's
so
really fantastic.
Do you know roughly what date it would be?
I don't, but I can probably look that up for you.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I know this is not jewelry, but really, dog tags are
jewelry. Kind of really like identification bracelets. Yeah.
Yeah, it's become a very common jewelry motif, but this is the real thing, the original thing, and this is more a collectible, but it's so beautiful. I would love to know, did you receive that in the post, when you won it?
I just contacted when I won it, they simply just sent it to me in the mail.
Yeah, and what did you feel like when you opened that package to find this object?
Well, first of all, this is from 1863, so it's a pretty special piece of, I know as an African-American woman, it's a pretty special piece of history. I didn't know that there was an African-American regiment during the Civil War, so it then takes you down a deeper and deeper rabbit hole. So you just either Google and then you get books. It's an amazing sort of way of going down the rabbit hole, but in a rabbit hole of very rich, deep, and unknown history.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of the most special things that I own, but it really sort of connects you to your legacy and connects us to American legacy in a really unique way. So this,
and like you say, once you found this, then you found out something new for you about the African American Regiment, and then you just keep going, and you get books and you learn, and it becomes a whole voyage of discovery, which is the beautiful thing about these items.
Yeah, it's just like eBay is kind of like a gigantic Wunderkammer. Every time you look something.
And I love that you describe it like that, a Wunderkammer, which was the German wonder cabinet or cabinet of curiosities and things that, really pique your interest or that you find super, super intriguing. And it's different for everyone, right? Not everyone's going to understand the emotional impact of, a 19th century dog tag from an African-American regiment from the Civil War.
I didn't think that there was such a score. I was kind of looking at it, and then you go back and you go, wait a minute, and then you just you stay awake all night long until you can win the bid. Again, it's much more emotional because it's part of our history, and it's something that I didn't know a lot about. And it was just a way of, again, opening up that door,
Yeah.
or that closet of unknown histories. And then you learn about the different soldiers, where they were located, what they did in the war. And the language on the back is pretty fantastic.
That's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. I mean, I can understand why that is just such a special piece, and I can imagine it's not one you are ever going to let go.
Yeah.
Francesca, you have a fascination with all sorts of things as a jeweler, but this is one of your lenticular pieces, right?
Yes, exactly. These are I have a love for any kind of antique and vintage objects. I really try to look for unusual things, and I try to incorporate them in my jewelry. This is lenticular images. You can really play with them. You can have different images according to the movement you make with them. And I call this collection abracadabra, which is like a magical word in Italy. And I love the fact that even if, for example, in this case, this is not a very, how can I say, expensive piece, you can find them, even if usually according to certain kind of theme. For example, the Batman set is not so common, so you have to look for them, to find for them, and many times are part of auction that I really like to do on eBay platform. So I bought this piece thanks to an auction that I won.
Yeah.
And I really love to do auction on eBay. I think that, I mean, the joy of collecting is usually part of my job, but I had this new emotion to win an auction, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
And tell us what will you do with? I mean, this is so great, this piece, because it's pop culture, but it's so retro. You know, that particular rendering of Batman. It's, you know, do you know what decade that would be from?
Yes, actually, in them usually are 50s. They invented this kind of images in the 30s, and they really were very popular in the 50s.
And as we were discussing kind of pre-panel, sometimes they would have a picture of someone, and as you turned it, they would be dressed or undressed, or they would wink and then not wink. And so it was this idea of movement, right? As you move them. And would they have been something that kids collected?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think so.
But as is your right as a jeweler, you can render these precious because you will do something with them. So tell us what you might do with something like this.
These are usually my collection called abracadabra charms. They are very little charms that you can collect, and you can have a very long necklaces with all the different charms. You can have all the set with Batman. You can have Pinocchio. You can have different kind of characters, and I really like the fact that even if they are playful, they can be very elegant and jewelry, and they can be jewelry pieces.
Yeah. And then another thing you collect, and it's you're actually wearing them around your neck right now, is these beautiful vintage poker chips. And here's an example of one that you were telling us earlier. They were had initials on them so that, you know, the poker players had their own chips, but you've also found chips from certain casinos, and it's become kind of an obsession of yours, right? You've got
Yes, I think that honestly I found chips by chance in some way. I wasn't really looking for them, but then I discovered that there are amazing collectors around the world, and some of them are on eBay platform. And I mean, they really collect very, very antique pieces. You can have ivory chips that are unbelievable. I mean, they are so beautiful, so elegant. They are engraved by hands with flowers, with numbers. They are very, very beautiful. These are more the one we see there was made at the beginning of the 20th century, and apart from the casino chips that, I mean, they are amazing. You can have your own chips with your initial, and so I think this is a nice piece to have on your neck. And for example, I have the piece I have are 2 different letters because they are related to casinos. So it depends on the casino. You can find a way to have your name on them.
So you could get your initials.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you're lucky. Not everyone, I imagine. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, these are my daughter's initials, are not mine, but I found them.
I was wondering, you mentioned ivory. I'm sure that's something you can't buy on eBay anymore. Is that right?
No, not exactly. No.
So there must be certain things that are not on the platform.
I mean, they honestly, the most beautiful pieces, collectors don't sell them anymore because they are so rare that, collectors want to keep the most beautiful pieces for themselves. So it's really difficult to find them.
But this was more perhaps for you, Tirath, is that eBay is, curated in a way that you couldn't sell things that are illegal to sell, like ivory, I'd imagine types of new coral, etc. Would that be right?
No, absolutely. Look, we want to make sure that we're following the laws, and we take that very seriously. We have many systems in place at eBay and we work with the right organizations around that as well. So
Rebecca, when you were doing, could you just tell us about what you did was it for the United States?
I was asked to recreate the uniforms from pre-Rev until Vietnam. So when I was using eBay as a resource for finding everything from dog tags to, different things that they'd wear, different, resources for materials and buttons and all of the little nuances. And what I love about eBay, right, is that it's really, at least in the military community, it was initially self-managed. And it's like everybody kind of knows everyone. You're in this sort of family of people who lead you to other people if they don't have what you need. And I was actually able to not recreate a lot of things. I was actually able to get authentic pieces that I used in this particular job. So it was
I love, Rebecca, you talked a lot about community, and that, through the platform, you have almost like made friends and have relationships.
I'm a little bit more of that forward than most eBay people. I want to, especially, again, it depends on the community. I want to meet them, and often they have these massive, especially they're very, very authentic. They're these massive collections of the most amazing things that they don't want to sell. And having conversations with them, they lead you to meet someone else, that leads you to meet someone else, and you, again, going down the rabbit hole of, it becomes more of a family and a community of collectors of a particular nuanced thing, because Civil War era is one nuance, pre-Rev is one nuance, Vietnam is another nuance. So each period of time has its collector, and for me, I love that.
And Francesca, have you kind of, are there certain poker chip sellers that you've come to rely on, or have managed to source you things?
Oh yeah, I think that, there are many on eBay, and sometimes you have your favorite one anyway. Because maybe they are all very very helpful when you are look for someone. They can help you. They can give you very, very quick answers. This is what I really like. You send a message asking, can I have one more image? Can you tell me the sizes? Can you tell much more about it? And this is the most interesting thing for me, because, sometimes it takes time to have answer for classical collectors, while on eBay you have an immediate answer. In 10 minutes you have you clear your mind about this piece. So this is extremely helpful, because if you don't have this quick answer, I think that you forget about this piece in some way. You need really to have a very prompt feedback from them, and this is what happened on eBay.
And so it's, I think some people like me included, because I'm not that eBay savvy, but I've had my mind changed slightly. But that eBay is the world's biggest garage sale, but it's this big, huge, terrifying, anonymous one. But you've both shown that actually it can be a very personal experience and can be quite intimate, and you find your people. You can find your people on eBay. can we see Francesca's cameos? These are, so can you tell us about these, which is so beautiful?
Yeah, they are very, very small. I have here with me, I can show you that they are super small. And these are part again of an auction I won. And they are extremely beautiful because they have same size, same shape, but different faces on them. So I love the fact that I can really work onto similar pieces, for example, for earrings, but they are not identical. I love the fact to match two similar pieces, but not with the same figure. So you can see that they are super, super small. So it's not so easy to find so well done pieces in such a small size. And this is one of my new passion, actually. It's something that I had recently in my collection. So these are not so antique, they are vintage cameos, but I love the fact that they are so small, and I'm looking for very, very tiny cameos. And honestly, I found them just on eBay. My collection is all made.
Vintage, how old would these be? Do you know roughly?
Sorry?
Do you know roughly how old these ones would
Honestly, when I asked about the precise date, they just told me vintage pieces. So I can't really tell you the date because I don't know about it.
Mm-hmm. Tirath, with your authentication program, would that include antique items, or is it really specifically to jewelry and watches at this point?
No, right now it's really jewelry, watches, as well as handbags. Now, some of those items could have, been pre-owned from certain eras, and we would include it if it fits our authentication program. But no, right now it's really focused on jewelry, watches, and handbags.
And it's quite contemporary.
Correct. I mean, it's a combination of both, right? We have pieces coming in that are from the 1990s, even, right? So. We have everything from new. We have Rolexes that we've seen, for example, in the watch world from the 80s, jewelry pieces from the 80s. So it really depends, right? I mean, we're really focused on right now in jewelry, scaling up the fine jewelry category, and then over time, really starting to put authentication guarantee into other areas as well.
So I have an obsession with the designer Angela Cummings, who worked for Tiffany & Co. In the 70s and 80s, and then she went out on her own. She's still alive. She would be an older lady now. I first discovered her when I went to that incredible art fair, TEFAF, in Maastricht, in the Netherlands several years ago. And there was a bangle that was a gold bangle with incredible blue stripes, and those stripes were of lapis lazuli heartstone. And I'd never seen anything like it. That's where I heard the name. I asked the dealer, and this beautiful, very specialized antique jewelry dealer at Maastricht in the Netherlands. And they said, oh, that's Angela Cummings. I went down that rabbit hole, but never, ever, ever did I think that you would find her on eBay, because at that point it was very, very niche, very, very not that well known, kind of something that only small antique dealers might have. But
right.
I asked you to find me some Angela Cummings, and you did. And let's see these incredible earrings. If we can go back to these earrings. So tell me, so these earrings, I think, would have a value that would require them to be authenticated by your authentication service, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and you definitely spoke about Angela Cummings a little bit more. Yeah, she was an Austrian-born artist, and in 1968. Actually when she began working at Tiffany Company, right? But Tiffany brought her first collection out in 1972, almost 4 years later. And, she's built really great pieces over time. Yes, you're absolutely right. These earrings right now, they go for about $39.50, so $3,950. We right now, based on the sellers that's selling it on eBay, says it's from the 1990s, Tiffany vintage estate designed by Angela Cummings, of course. And yes, they're beautiful earrings, right? 18 karat yellow gold with black enamel and omega backs. So this would specifically go through our authenticity guarantee program, which right now we are collaborating with GIA, right? We have launched that in July, and most recently, some weeks ago, We started with the non-branded jewelry pieces, but since a couple of weeks ago, we've launched like brands like Cartier, Tiffany and Company, Van Cleef & Arpels, Bulgari, and some others as well that now all go through GIA before they actually are received by the end consumer. And what's exciting by that is, I mean, it's the first time ever GI is doing this for finished jewelry, and now with us at eBay branded, and we're the only ones they do that with right now, which is really exciting. And so the buyer knows that when they do receive this piece that is in a similar condition that they saw it in a listing, that it is authentic. I think that is very exciting. And to your point, you know, being able to search eBay and find really unique treasures. I mean, that's the power of eBay, right? We have a lot of great unique treasures across eBay. And being able to locate these earrings by Angela Cummings. I know we have other pieces we're going to talk about with her as well. Just super exciting, right? It's a treasure hunt and a hunt for discovery.
Is that me who's glitchy, or is it everyone? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I think it's just pausing a little bit. Let's see the amazing white and gold striped bangle, which is also by Angela Cummings. This one,
yes,
which is beautiful. I haven't seen one like this before. So what can you tell us about this one, Tirath?
No, I haven't either. And again, same thing. It goes through our authenticity guarantee program. It'll be through GIA. This one goes for about $8,300 on eBay right now. It's a beautiful piece, right? It's again 18 karat yellow gold enamel bracelet. Looks like she used similar to the earrings. You know, enamel was used here as well. And this bracelet right now, you found it on eBay, even though it's pre-owned, right? But it's in exceptionally good condition, and that's something that we will verify once it lands at GIA. That is something that we check for.
So the next piece, the really unusual pendant with diamonds. So I'm interested because buying something with diamonds online can be a little daunting to some people. And so through GIA, they'll be authenticating that they are in fact natural diamonds, not lab grown, and that it is 18 karat gold. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Through GIA, we are checking that. So this one specifically has like 13 diamonds. It's E-color, VVS clarity, approximate weight of about 0.40 carats. And all that is checked for, right? We check within certain standards of both color grade as well as clarity. We ensure that these are natural diamonds and not lab grown. All that is checked by GIA before the buyer receives it, including the purity of the metal.
Right. Now,
And
this
to your
might be
point,
putting you on this. This might be putting you on the spot a little bit, but with the advent of lab-grown diamonds, is using GIA going to specifically ensure that diamonds are natural versus lab-grown?
No, absolutely. No, look, I think lab-grown is great out there. I know it's growing and becoming a larger and larger percentage. We know many brands have publicly announced that they're adopting lab-grown. And many of the lab-grown organizations that are also trying to get to a position of showing how they're actually building sustainability around that. So, no, GI will check if it's lab-grown or not. And if somebody said that it is lab-grown, well, we're going to check that it's lab-grown before they get it. At the end of the day, it's about transparency to the buyer. Right. And if they bought something wanting lab-grown, let them receive the lab-grown piece.
Right. And one of the questions I have about buying things like jewelry and watches on eBay is if you are buying things at auction, or you're using your like buy now button, and because I haven't bought anything, I wonder, and this is for Rebecca and Francesca as well, how do you know when a buy now price is a good price, or if it's something like a branded item that has like a market value? When do you get competitive? When do you just let that go? Or is it just about how badly you want the piece?
Yeah, and if you really think about it, eBay is really about discovering both unique pieces, great artistry and design, unique designers. It's a great place for them to reach 135 million active buyers. And the reason I bring that up is that we know in jewelry, we're selling 8 pieces of fine jewelry every minute right now on eBay. And the power of the number of buyers as well as the number of transactions allows us to get valuable information and data that helps the marketplace get stronger and stronger over time. On the pricing front, it's really, we believe that here we become more of a market/cultural barometer over time. And for a customer, you can go on eBay and look through several pieces. You might find many that are similar, including the carat weight. And you yourself can then compare if that price is suitable for you or not. So we do become that destination, especially given the millions of pieces of jewelry that we have listed. We can you'll be able to easily search through eBay, use the different functionalities and filter, and be able to compare prices on your own.
Rebecca, I know that in the sneaker market, it can get competitive. If you're trying to find something for a client and that price goes up and up, how do you limit yourself? Oh, you're muted.
First, it really depends on how much we really want it and when we need it. And in that case, you look at the vendor and you look at the vendor history, and that's really awesome. As he said, if there's a particular sneaker that's desired, you can see the highest price for it. And, the highest price just establishes the market price. Right. If it's something that I want to wait for, or it's something that I think I don't need right now, then you can watch the market price go down. But you can't, for me, I just buy now. I just don't have time for that. Because with sneakers, it's often an instantaneous thing, and they have an amazing sneaker authentication program that's just fantastic. I'm actually obsessed with it on Tumblr right now. It's just when they look at the sneakers and they open them up, it's actually really fun to watch, and I like it because it's transparent. Most of the time we don't know how people do that, and with the sneaker authentication, it's pretty transparent, and those people have become rock stars in their own right. Yeah, they have. There are a couple on Tumblr and Instagram, and some of them are much more flashier than others, and they have a lot of their own swag.
Right.
But I am, depending on how much I want the item, buy now. I mean, back in the day we had Bid Sniper, and I would just go in and go, I want this thing, I'm going to bid snipe it, and you'd wait for somebody who was your competition to be like, ah. So I like the buy now option.
Mm-hmm.
And Francesca, I feel like you sometimes have to buy groups of things to get what you want, right? So you don't always those tiny cameos. Did you get them on their own, or did they come as a job lot?
I bought all the set. I mean, and as Rebecca said, I mean, sometimes I even pay more than the market value because I want all the sets. So when I want something, I want something. So I really maybe pay more than the commercial value, but I know that I can make and create a beautiful collection. I see immediately when I sold this set on eBay, and so I made a crazy offer bid, and I know that I could easily win. So this is my way of doing the action. I don't really check all the time the bid, but I usually make a very high bid because I know that I want them, and I know that I can make a very beautiful collection with this set. So
you must have a lot of extra little bits and bobs that you have won at auction that you haven't yet made into jewelry. You're kind of...
Yes, maybe more than the one that I transform in jewelry. My studio the studio where I live in the country is full of objects. I really buy any kind of things. Sometimes they are not really connected with my work. And I love antique pieces. I love vintage pieces. So I started collecting when I was very young, and at that time I collected very stupid pieces, but now when I see something that I like and that really emotion me in some way, I try to have it, even if maybe it's a little bit crazy, the price, but usually I try to invest my money in this in my passion, really.
And I guess one of the dangers of eBay is that you can find out about something new. So I challenged Rebecca to find charms using Stanhope lenses, which were these teeny tiny lenses to look at microphotography. So this is what Rebecca has found, and I think we may have a new Stanhope lens charm collector on our hands. But Rebecca, tell us about the little pieces that you found.
This was pretty amazing because I didn't you know, it's these small objects that are so meaningful, right?
Yeah.
Like the dog tag has all of this kind of meaning to it. And this is a church, and this lens lets you look inside the church, and there's the wedding vows. So it's really amazing, like, again, how this small object has a deeper meaning to it, and it's much more personal, and it takes you down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
There was one more, I think. Oh, and this one's something they did to sort of, it's a token from the World's Fair. So there's a photograph in that one of the World's Fair, and it's 2 buildings that temporary structures they built. And this is, again, just captures a moment in time. It's deeply personal, memorializes a moment. And, you know, there were, I think you're going to mention it, naughtier versions of these.
Yes.
That were out in the marketplace. I avoided those. But just the idea that this one little object, it's tiny, just like Francesca's pieces, but it has so much meaning to it. And it just takes you a step further. And then there are people who talk about it and write about it. And then I had to get off the Google and the eBay because I would have been doing it for the whole day and, you know, had 14 pieces on my shelf before the day was out, you know?
Yeah, so that's I think the beauty of eBay is that, you know, I first found out about the Stanhope lens because of a modern jewelry brand called Locket London, and they found a guy, like this one guy in London, in the UK, who still makes them, and they were able to reincorporate them into contemporary pendants, and you would hold this little thing up to your eye, this big, and look through this lens that's really the size of, you can imagine, I don't know, a sesame seed, and then see inside a whole poem. So, you know, they Stanhope lenses came about with the advent of microphotography, but the real fun in it is trawling eBay to find some of the naughtier ones, which were gentlemen in particular would have even the top of a walking stick would have a jeweled top. And it would have a little Stanhope lens that only they knew about, and then they could look at a naked lady through it. Or they might have a pair of beautiful cufflinks, or you know, a fob chain, and they would have these Stanhope lenses, so they could basically look at naked women if that was their want. But that's, you know, that's one of the fun things. And then, you know, the fact that you can buy these items if you find them and you love them, you can buy them on eBay and do, you know, wear them and love them and learn about them is so cool. And I think
just
that's
wanted to say one thing, like, this stuff gets me so excited because I'm getting someone's history and someone's thing. And you know, I know for Francesca, you end up with a house full of little objects that have these, and you pick them up and everything has a great little story to it that makes it really unique. It's not something you can buy in a store. And, like, you know, I have to stay away from stuff like this because I have a collection of things and I'll just lose my focus. But it's very difficult not to go down multiple rabbit holes and multiple communities just to get the little individual nugget and story that exists with every item. So this was way too exciting for me.
Yeah, but, you know, Angela Cummings, those pieces that you showed us, Tirath, you know, for me, I'm really interested in who was the lady in the 80s who bought those earrings. They would have been huge, and they made a lot of them. It was kind of a, you know, a consumer product, but I'm fascinated by the individual sellers, and, like, you know, maybe someone was clearing out their mum's jewelry box and they found her Angela Cummings earrings that she maybe wore with a parasuit in New York in the 1980s. And I love, that's what I love about, you know, this jewelry, is that it's not just from kind of sellers who have a whole lot of stuff, but I like the idea of connecting with individuals who are selling their own things, maybe from their own collections, which, you know, I find that kind of quite sort of emotive. And, you know, I love these stories that you can tell, and that both Jennifer and Francesca have met people, even if it's just virtually. You're meeting sellers and other collectors and other communities who are into the same thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's the great thing about eBay too. I mean, we are a community of enthusiasts, right? And really be there for people who want to get together, connect. As Rebecca, you noted, in sneakers, we have sneakers enthusiasts, we have jewelry ones, handbags ones, and even recently, like sometimes you can't do justice to these pieces just through reading about them, right? I think having them on video, and that's the reason we just launched live shopping, right? So we're getting into like live commerce, where you can actually do a live stream video or the person that's selling it, or even designers, or New York Jewelry Week. There's a lot of unique up and coming designers. They now have a medium on eBay. It's just leveraging live commerce at scale starting early next year, where they can kind of talk about the pieces they own, talk about what makes it special, the stories behind them, and really cater to this next generation of consumers, right? Especially Gen Z, who really watches live streams to do their shopping now on their mobile phone versus just traditional e-commerce sites. And I think that is what really makes us different. And we're really helping here, trying to bring these unique pieces and unique designers to life, and creating this community around it.
I think that's really exciting. And from a jewelry lover, I really, really love the opportunity of going to meet new graduates at colleges. So I love it when someone like Central St. Martin's has their new graduate show. And, you have to go to Central St. Martin's to do that. But if eBay can partner with some of the great universities and design schools and let these graduates show their items, well, that would be so amazing, because it would give them a platform, out to the world. Because often these young designers who, they may finish design school and then not have so much support and not know what to do. Especially, you see it with jewelry, is the ones who are a bit more savvy and they get out there commercially, tend to make it. And then there are these unsung talents who maybe don't have industry connections, but if we can see their work, on a platform like eBay, I think it would be incredible.
Right.
Thank you so much, everyone. I feel like we've covered everything from like Civil War dog tags, which essentially were jewelry, but jewelry to identify you, to lenticular Batmans from the 50s, to the great Angela Cummings from the 90s. And we've seen what Francesca would do with her amazing brooch. So you've gone so far as to actually show us what you would do with this. I can see that you've written diamonds.
Yeah, this is a military badge, and this is a brooch that I would like to make with it. So I would just make a very simple frame in yellow gold, diamonds in different sizes and shapes. And on the corners, how I would love to have green tourmaline. And I think this is, very simple, but the piece is so amazing. The design is so modern. The color are fantastic. So I think that it could work very well as a brooch.
And this could look cool on the lapel of a guy, on a denim jacket, or on a girl. It's a really unique item.
I wasn't unsure about a brooch or a very elegant bracelet for a lady. So we can. I found two. Probably I will do two pieces: one brooch and one bracelet.
Super cool. Well, thank you so much, everybody. This was so fun, and I've loved learning about what gets you guys excited on eBay, and that whole wealth of incredible things to collect and love and share.
Absolutely. No, thank you. No, this has been great. And I think it's just so fun talking about the industry, unique designers, and especially with how us at eBay are starting to play a major role here. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
It was so much fun. Thank you.